You are listening to the 312 Squadron podcast. My name is Nick Sperry.
I am Emil Picasso.
And I'm Andrew Kuba.
And we are, as you can see, and as you can hear, in a professional studio setup for this episode 16. We haven't recorded or posted in a little while. We've been very busy, and a lot has happened in the past several weeks.
Yeah.
So I thought we'd celebrate, do something special, and head over here to Rockford. My buddy Yash Musabji, shout out to Yash, the icon, plug his info. Great upcoming artist here in Rockford who has this beautiful studio space that he gave us today for a couple hours.
Plus, it was just good to get everybody in the same room again. You know, it's been a while since we've all been together, like outside of X.
I know.
So.
That's true. That's true.
That was one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this, was just like, obviously this is a great setup, but being able to like have like a chat at a table, and like a lot of people you see, you know, in real podcasts, and we have a real podcast, but it feels different when you're doing it virtually versus doing something like this. I mean, this is like next level stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, one last thing before we dive into everything. The reason why we were able to do this is because of all the love and support that we get through Patreon, especially shout out to all of our patrons. We've had a tremendous support on Patreon for 312 Squadron, and where we have a lot more planned. I feel like this is a great kind of first step to show you guys, like, we have a lot of big, fun ideas planned for the channel and for the podcast. And we'll definitely be doing this again in the future. And just thank you, everybody, for being with us since day one, since before COVID to now. It's been a long, awesome journey. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to start off the podcast episode 16, talking about something that, you know, is very close to my heart and a lot of the X-Wing community's hearts. Yes. Who's been a big pillar of the X-Wing community. A good friend of mine, Zach Matthews, unfortunately passed away the weekend of May the 4th. He suffered a stroke, and his family, of course, is asking for privacy. But I wanted to spend a moment talking about Zach. I had a great impression of him when I first met him, 5 years ago in 2019. Yeah. Andrew, you and I have played in tournaments Zach has been at. You've met him. I think maybe you've played him before, been next to him.
Absolutely. No, I've played him, got to talk with him. He's, was a wonderful man. And I'm so happy that I was able to spend the time that I was with him.
Manny, I don't think you had the chance to meet Zach.
To meet him. Yeah,
Manny was at the beach while Zach and Andrew and I were playing X-Wing.
Most likely. But from what I hear, he was a great guy. Said that I never got to meet him.
Yeah. So just want to reminisce really quickly. Zach and I met at Worlds 2019. I just got into X-Wing late 2018, and I decided for some reason to be a judge at the highest level event for X-Wing, a game that I was just so fascinated and in love with, but really didn't know too much about, which is ironic. It's like, you were judging? I was like, yes, knew a lot about the rules, and I learned a lot. But Zach I was a playtester with me, and he introduced himself as his username from playtesting for X-Wing, and then we proceeded to hang out the entirety of Worlds, and just big bear hugs and hilarious jokes. He's just so welcoming, and he left a long-lasting impression for me for this game. I mean, when I think of the X-Wing community, Zach Matthews is absolutely one of the people that I think of, and you will never be forgotten, Zach. We all love you so much. The amount of support that has been shown, and rightfully so, for him and his family, and the respect that everyone has given him, and just all the thoughts and well wishes that he's received is beyond deserved. And we just, we love you, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, he's been in so many X-Wing communities just across the U.S. too, and like every community that's been a part of is going to miss him dearly. He's made the game so much better and has been just such a positive influence for everyone around him. And we're going to miss you for sure.
Absolutely. So I just want to do a quick moment of silence to honor Zach. So we'll do that real quick. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
We love you, Zach. We had our May the 4th celebration stream in honor of Zach as well, and we had some very fun games.
Yes, we did.
We jousted, and we did everything that Zach would always say, "Joust me, you cowards!" And so we did it in honor of Zach, of course.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot to talk about. There's been a lot of news, a lot of, I think, some questions have been answered, and some questions have been born out of the news that has come as of late. You know,
AMG, the paragons of PR, if anything.
Do they even have a PR department? If they do, they're really wasting money.
The opposite, I think, of a PR department. Whatever.
We are the PR department.
Yeah, their PR department's actively negatively harming their reputation.
I mean,
honestly, it's a case study. Like when I was back in college and actually taking my PR classes, I was like, I could have done so many awesome projects on like what not to do. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's so we had the announcement of the grand tournaments, which replaced in a lot of people's eyes, and what I was led to believe was kind of a shift away from Worlds as we've known it to a different structure. Mm-hmm. People in the AMG Discord and some posts online from Atomic Mass Games kind of suggested that they were moving away from Worlds. Even their main transmission in a way was kind of complaining about Worlds and how it cost them a lot of money, and it seemed like they wanted to do something different. And so a lot of people were really upset about that. A lot of people that I know and love from overseas, I was like, am I never going to see them again? X-Wing was so successful, a huge turnout during Worlds. Andrew, you and I were there. It was a lot of fun, and I thought there was kind of a reaffirming moment where it's like the game is in good standing. I think, you know, we're going to have even bigger Worlds next year. And then they announced the GTs. And I have no problem with having bigger level events. Yeah. But I was worried when there was no Worlds invite attached to it. I was wondering, okay, well, you know, is that going to be enough for people? Because since the inception of the game under FFG, we've had Worlds invites attached to events to get to Worlds. And now even we'll dive into everything. But more recently, they announced that Worlds is back after suggesting that it wasn't going to be back. Now, I'm not saying for sure that's what happened. I'm sure there was some stuff that happened behind the scenes. I'm glad that Adepticon 2025 will have a Worlds for X-Wing.
Yeah.
But it seemed like a kind of a
quick 180.
180.
I didn't read it as a 180. I didn't get the impression that the initial announcement said that there wouldn't be them being at Adepticon, that it just wouldn't be called like Worlds. So I still thought that there would be an Adepticon tournament that would just get folded, but now they're going to just call it Worlds, so that's fine. And so I didn't really take it as 180. I just took it more as that they were done with like the traditional Worlds tournament structure, but that Worlds itself was going to be preserved.
What do you think, Manny? What was your kind of impression from?
Yeah,
it didn't look like there might not be a Worlds. You know, how did you interpret that?
So at first, I was willing to give him, the benefit of the doubt until I saw a screenshot from the AMG Discord where it stated, or that an employee approved of a comment stating that GTs would be the highest level of organized play. And then that's when I started to have like a change of opinion, because having a world structure, I feel, is extremely important in terms of just getting people into these tournaments. It's a massive incentive. So yeah, when I saw that screenshot, I was pretty disappointed that they were willing to, like, in my humble opinion, you have these GTs and you don't need to sacrifice the competitive aspect. But it definitely didn't sound that they were choosing that route at first.
No, the Discord thing. So there was kind of an internal argument amongst ourselves or our group chat about that, because there was the post that there was a Twitter post or a transmission that said, to clarify, grand tournaments are replacing the Roads to Worlds event, structure pathway, which is like, well, it says Roads to Worlds, so the Worlds still exist.
Right. But
then there's the Discord image where it's clear, an AMG Atomic Mass Games employee says yes to, it sounds like this is replacing Worlds. So Discord is Discord. AMG started their Discord because they wanted people to be able to have an easier way to get answers and communicate about their favorite games, and have officials speak on behalf of Atomic Mass Games and say yes, no, maybe, whatever.
It's a good move if you're a company that has like a clear open communication with the people who interact with purchase your games, for sure. Yeah,
and this, I honestly, at first, it was very overwhelmingly angry and against the idea of a grand tournament because it came at the cost of store champs, which we still don't know are going to happen.
If we're getting,
and it would seem at the cost of Worlds. Now that GTs and Worlds exist, I'm a little bit more ambivalent. I still like the idea of Store Champs having a Worlds invite. They suggested that Worlds was an exclusionary event, but I don't know if I can I feel like by that logic, you can say that the Las Vegas Open is exclusionary. Our Store Champs are exclusionary because it's difficult for people to get to, and they have to pay to get to it and get into it.
And the number of store kits that were distributed as well.
Apparently too many.
And then, but at the same time, not enough. I was talking to a couple players from the Netherlands, and like their complaint was they got 2 store kits for the entire country. You know, and there's all these other places like in Europe that probably had the same, the same issues. And it was taking longer for like European product to even like get out and distributed there too. So like they just didn't have, I guess, even the distribution infrastructure as strong in Europe or other places in the world, like South America even too, than they did in the US. So that was, I think, the other aspect where the store championship path was maybe a little more of a swing and a miss this last year.
Store Champs aren't anything new. That's not an argument to say it was perfect. It's that there's data to see, have how they've worked and run since before the pandemic. And they were just kind of anticipated as always being a thing. The Store Champ season was always a part of X-Wing. Now we're in this world where, ever since Atomic Mass Games took over, not only has the game fundamentally changed in a lot of key ways, but the way things are run and OP is constantly changing. Mm-hmm. In this time we'll get into the whole Embracer Group thing and the financial side of things, which is a lot. But all I could ask is just for like things to just kind of, for me to just anticipate what to expect for more than 1 year. For me to be like, in 2027, we're going to have grand tournaments and a Worlds at this place. And instead right now we're kind of just like, like any new, like it's like the Chappelle, like gotta be more of that news of X-Wing, and people are getting banned from Discords because they're, aggressively asking about X-Wing. And it's just, I want some consistency and I want it to last sustainable, more than a year.
I mean, that's the issue, is that we're not getting communication and they're not good at communicating. And then the lack of communication is just leading to speculation.
Yep.
My personal opinion is I don't think they know themselves. I feel that they're also kind of flying by the seat of their pants. And it might not even be their fault as we get into the budget stuff too. Like they might not know what money they even have next year to even start planning a tournament structure around.
Yeah, Manny, what do you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, I personally believe that AMG doesn't know what's going to happen to it in the next couple of years. Actually, we've had a communication, not really addressing any of the speculation. But I will say, when you come out and say that you have like a 10-year plan for X-Wing, I believe they're on record for saying that they have X amount of years planned for X-Wing. Am I wrong? Or
I think maybe for all their games they have a plan, but I don't know exactly what the year.
Then I'm not gonna go.
That may have been true a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Well, Disney announced their 10-year plan for Star Wars, and I want to say 50% of those movies or shows got canned.
Yeah, that's true.
Or pushed back.
Yeah. So
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. That I personally believe that AMG's in as critical as I am of AMG, and I do definitely question most of their choices. I will give it to them that they're in a pretty hard spot right now.
Yeah, I think they're set up to fail in a lot of ways.
After this Embracer Group thing, they're definitely set up to fail.
Yeah, I think that some things that they could be better at is I think there's a little bit of animosity that cuts both ways. I think Atomic Mass Games will say, well, certain parts of the player base are being toxic. I think the way that they've talked about certain things, announced certain things, and reacted to certain things was a little disappointing.
Oh, for sure.
Do you fault one of your largest player bases for coming into your stream after 8 months of radio silence and asking about that game?
Oh yeah, exactly. The passive aggressiveness. Yeah.
Should you be toxic about it? No, I don't think. I think some people rightfully so got muted or banned or whatever for it. But I had some people, somebody reacted with Discord lets you react with multiple things if you wanted to. They reacted to something like XWING and they got banned from Discord. Yeah, I think
it
that's a
definitely
little
comes
stupid.
off. Like the vibe that I kind of get from AMG is shut up, just play with the game that we told you to play, or just play the game how we like you to play it. That's
I don't know.
I don't know. That's kind of the vibe I get. It's like, don't complain, just
Yeah.
shut up
There's-
and play with the rules
Do you
that we
guys
gave
actually
you.
believe, I'm going to ask you both of you, do you actually believe that the main people who are involved directly with this game the most actively hate or dislike this game in any capacity? Do you believe that? Because people say that.
I don't think they actively dislike the game. I just think it's a game they might not even care for, just because, again, I've said this. X-Wing is a very different game compared to the games that they're usually
That's true.
associated with. That's
But so is Legion and so is Armada.
Legion. Yeah, it's true. But Legion makes, except Legion actually makes like a bunch of money.
Mm. Yeah. What were you going to say?
I don't believe that at all. I mean, even with your interview, every time that we've talked to the people who are creators for X-Wing, like you can tell that they're passionate about it. They care very much about it. I think that they actively love the player base too. And I think they're also excited to see what we're doing with the game and how we're keeping it alive.
Yeah.
I believe that we're living in a world where they know as much as we do. And
It's wild.
I know. I feel that's a bit
but
of
I think that's why
long
there's
stretch.
the radio silence too, is because they also just don't know. And then also, they're going to be beholden to what the upper management of AMG, like they're at those whims. They're going to be at the whims of any entity that is like taking over now too. So I think that there might also just be handcuffed with lack of preparation and planning.
I do agree that they're set up to fail. I think this is the worst time for them. Don't be surprised if any of your favorite Atomic Mass Games titles get deprioritized for the time being, because there's a lot of things hanging over their head right now. They have to wait out, like being sold. When your parent company is being sold, you don't necessarily have a lot of answers, and you can't plan or spend a lot of money.
But I will say the one thing that is like, I don't believe that care and lack of passion is what's hurting them here.
I always feel like they have like a different type of language when they talk to when they talk about X-Wing and Armada compared to the other games that I just cannot really rectify.
There's a pet peeve that I have. There's something that they here's an example. Like if you're let's say your boss at work, you report to them, but in terms of what you do on a day-to-day basis, that is you own it, you have those skills, you get it done. Imagine your boss at work deciding how your job operates without having any knowledge on what you do on a day-to-day basis, or how you go about your work, or the process. So I think at first
that is happening to me right now.
It's very frustrating.
It's insane.
It is crazy. It's like you're speaking on my behalf to me and for me about what I do that you don't know anything about. And at the time when Atomic Mass Games took over X-Wing, they were kind of speaking these full totality truths about the way the game is to people that have been playing it longer than they've even known about it, because they weren't focusing on X-Wing. So when they said, again, I think a lot of it was semantics, but they're like, the game, it was no clear, it was an obfuscated approach to how you'd win the game. It wasn't clear on what you needed to do to win. And what they're trying to say was that people who had the best skill were winning all the time and taking advantage of the system of the game. But instead it made it sound like it's a dogfighting game. Like so AMG has spoken in certain totalities about things like, oh, this is the way things are. And a lot of people are like, well, that's not, most people just don't even agree with that. There were some things that they I know you have a lot of disagreements with me on this. But there were some things that they said that I agreed with, and then there were some things that the way that they said it, they kind of decided, well, this is a problem that we need to fix. And sometimes just because it isn't something that you are used to, or that you maybe don't like, doesn't mean it's actually a problem that needs to be fixed. And so a lot of people who quit X-Wing during the transition had a lot of problems with the way that the lens that they were using to correct things, that some things needed to be changed and some things didn't need to be changed. I think adding scenarios to the game was a really good addition to the game. After having so much data and experience, I can 100% say that. I would like more at some point. I think that's been good. I think other areas, they start to, they start to kind of monkey around or finesse a lot of things that people just aren't even really looking at. And it does create some ripple effects that create negative play experiences because there's so many things that change when you make changes to fundamental aspects of the game.
Sure.
The red focus thing, for example, bumping was abusable by very specific situations. They opened the door for that to be a thing. This is the way game design works. It's always been, whenever you open the door for something else can pop up. But
it's exciting they're trying something new, though.
Yeah, I just felt like the way they would talk about it, sometimes it was like, man, I feel like they're telling me what I should believe, like what I should think about this game.
Yeah, I mean,
okay, I'll go right ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I never got like that impression that they were telling us like how we should think or feel or play. I do think that they had their own vision that they had for the game, and I thought a lot of the changes that they had made to certain structures, like the way that like shipbuilding and points were done, were, in my opinion, it was a vast departure from what we had seen before. But it made the game more enjoyable for me personally. I thought some of what they were saying was valid, being like, having like Luke Skywalker and Vader and like these big ships.
The thematic aspects of the game,
like adding a little more theme to it. And where like decimators now are really big scary things, when before the whole thing was like you'd put a decimator and you'd strip it for parts. So yeah. I think that they had a vision for the game that they brought their own perspective into, and it definitely went in that direction. But whether I think that they were doing it as some sort of dictatorial decree, or that they had any sort of or any as far as any sort of like malice or telling people how they should feel about the game, I didn't really get that impression from the transition.
I know, I definitely got the impression that this was like changing for the sake of change, that like AMG is like, all right, I guess we own X-Wing now, time to change just because we own it. And that's just the vibe that I got, especially because before the whole...
I just realized you're not wearing your 312 shirt.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot.
Is it in the car?
Yeah, it's in the car.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
When you're done, I'm gonna kick you out, and you're gonna have to come back with your 312 shirt.
We'll recut everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do
ADR.
That's going to happen. I think it'll be funny for the podcast, so I'm gonna make you do that. I'll give you my keys and everything. I know. Don't worry, you won't have to change on camera.
Sorry, Manny. Though, what were you saying?
Continue.
Oh yeah. I totally forgot. So yeah, continue.
No. We were talking about when AMG first took over the game.
Oh yeah,
change for the sake of change, stuff like that is what you're saying.
Yeah, that it was like a new manager. It's like when you get like a new manager and they for some reason they decide to change how stuff is done just for the sake of change because they're new. And that's
where it doesn't seem like I don't think anyone learning and then making the decisions. Yeah. You're just kind of like, this is the way I want things to be. I know everything.
Yeah. And I think the whole list building aspect caught everyone by surprise.
Yeah, that was the only thing they didn't tease. They teased everything. Road. They teased bump red focus, range 0 shots, new obstacle rules, but they didn't tease the biggest change.
Exactly. And I feel like that was the one thing that really angered most people.
It blew me away, man.
Yeah.
I was, and also like that was, I mean, Nick and I, we've had this talk since 2.5 even started. I thought that was the coolest thing. I built 20 lists that night, and I was just like, oh my god. Well, one, you could put freaking 7 X1s into a list, and I was like, I don't even have the ships or dials to do this. You could do 7 bombers. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Now that was the worst iteration of the 2.5 meta too. But there was that that brief hint of discovery and the whole game was new and open again to kind of build around. So
yeah. Definitely.
But no, I mean, it definitely split the community too. And there's a lot of people who also they just felt they felt like they just transitioned to 2.0 from 1.0 too. So I think that just having major changes to a game like that in quick succession was a lot for a lot of people. And for the people that really did love like 2.0, it's nice that they still have those communities and that list building and everything else like that is still preserved as well, which is a testament to the community. Which is I think that's one of the reasons why we're getting the feeling that they are maybe over banning or they're being very careful around X-Wing players, is because of all of their products, we do have one of the more passionate bases.
Oh yeah, or extremely loud.
And same thing
It's
with
like-
Armada.
We're an irate bunch.
But even at the last
That loud.
But yeah, even at the like at Adepticon this year, there was still a massive turnout for X-Wing. It was one of the biggest turnouts they had.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Next to even Shatterpoint, like Marvel Crisis Protocol, like X-Wing was huge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll take a quick break.
Yeah.
I'm going to give Manny my keys.
Fine. You're such a tool. You just want the free
I
advertisements.
can't believe I mean, coordination is key.
That's true.
And also, it's content. So
Yeah.
we'll applaud you when you come back in. We won't talk about anything while you're gone.
Oh,
Or you
I'm
always do.
sure.
We'll take a quick water break.
So Nick, where do you
Just gonna do
where do
hold
you
my
get
hand
your
up here.
stamps when?
yeah, we can talk about anything.
Yeah. Let me tell you about this new energy product that I've been. Yeah.
Can I interest you in 312 coin, the newest coin in the crypto market? $3
Yeah.
Oh man. Ugh. And other news that isn't related to the podcast, the Rings of Power Season 2 teaser trailer, the first look came out today.
I did not see that.
And you see Sauron in 2 more different forms. The new actor who's recasted in place of the guy who played Halbrand, and also an Elvish version of Sauron you see, which is going to be a lot of Sauron, it seems. And
Okay.
a lot of fighting. There's a lot of epic shots that are cut together in this teaser. I enjoyed Rings of Power Season 1 enough that I am looking forward to the second season.
Really loved it. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Everything. No, I mean, the fact that there's even new Lord of the Rings content, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, no, I
Big
mean,
fan.
ever since the Tolkien estate passed on it and sold it off, you kind of figured that I'm surprised that Lego has gotten back into making Lord of the Rings sets, but I am so happy about that because I have Rivendell, and then in coordination with this teaser release, they also released their images of Barad-dûr that's going to be
Barad-dûr.
available in 3 weeks.
That's going to be so cool.
I have saved a spot on my Lord of the Rings shelf, Andrew, for Barad-dûr to be right next to Orthanc.
Oh.
So I have the 2 towers.
Yeah,
So
that's fun.
yeah, very nerdy of me, but also I'm a planner. So
Hey, that was my first when you teased that. Like when I first saw it, I was just like, "Where are you gonna like?" Space was my first concern for you.
I got the tape measure out. I was like, let's see.
I was like, "That's gonna be huge."
Yeah,
I don't know where
it's
you're gonna
it's
put it.
27, or rather, I'm sorry, it's 17 and a half inches long. Wow, and then it's a foot deep, and then 3 feet tall.
Oh my god,
Yeah, and it's like over 5,100 pieces.
that's a
but
real
it's
bar
only
there. Yeah.
$460. And when I say only, because the like Lego Millennium
That's
Falcon
bigger
and
than
the
Millennium
AT-AT are $850
Right. Yeah,
sets.
that's half the price.
Yeah.
So
So
is that like
piece,
about the same amount of pieces? Like,
the Falcon has over 7,000 pieces.
okay.
So
this
the
is-
price per piece, I think that comes out to like 14 or 15 cents a piece.
okay.
The AT-AT, I think, was only like 4,000 something.
Wow. Okay.
Um,
So this is way better value.
yeah, actually, I have my computer here for this purpose. Let's see. Lego
To do the Lego conversions. Yeah.
Yeah, Lego UCS AT-AT pieces.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and Lego had raised their, I think 2 years ago, all their prices went up about 30%,
Yeah. Oh,
which
just like with
really hits
everything.
these big sets hard because
Mhm.
$850 before tax is wild. It's your rent payment for a lot of people who live in studios.
For
Okay, I
sure.
apologize. I thought it was less than 5,000. The AT-AT is 6,785. It's still a lot of pieces. And Manny is back. He is changing into his 312 shirt at my decree.
You got to be loyal to the brand.
So I'm sorry, Manny, because I mentioned that you're gonna go and change, and then I was like, I should just change my mind. And I'm like, well, no, I promised people that I'd kick them out, so we got to give the people what I suggested I was gonna do.
It's for continuity.
Otherwise, yeah.
All right, he's got to go back to hair and makeup. We're getting just a quick retouch.
Not them good. Here, catch. I silly you. Entered the wrong car. There's another red car that
You
apparently
forgot
was
we're in
just
cards?
open. Huh?
Oh my god.
Yeah. I was like, wait, this doesn't look like Nick's car on the inside.
Oh my
I like to
god.
look behind. It's like, oh, it's a Nissan.
I honestly think that might be my shirt. Also,
I know. It is. I don't believe I own a 312 shirt.
You,
Okay, I remember. Like,
you own a black one with 312. I'm pretty
It
sure.
was so I
bought
couldn't
you
find
and
it.
Lloyd.
I own a dark colored Toyota Camry,
So-
so I accidentally open
just
the wrong
break
something.
door all
All
the
right,
time.
so we're gonna reset here. I'm gonna holding up my hand for the AI or whatever. I'll let them know, and we'll wait for the sip to be done. The sippy sip.
so is it just gonna be
and-
like an automatic cut from my old shirt to this shirt?
We'll cut to you. We'll have you walk out, and then we'll have you walk in.
Okay.
All right, we're back here after that brief break. We talked about a lot about Lego and Lord of the Rings, but the last little bone I have to pick with AMG is about the grand tournaments and the timing of the announcement about it. The main issue is they gave us 2 weeks to fill out a form,
Oh yeah.
basically committing to having a space without really having any idea on if it would be possible to secure that. That's
Yeah.
not a lot of time.
Yeah, 2 weeks is way
should
too
have been
little time,
2
especially
months.
for a grand tournament. Yeah.
I have a reason to believe that time frame was so small that they're going to need to extend it. I haven't heard anything about that, but
For
that's
sure.
unacceptable.
I don't know. To me, it's intentional. I know. I know.
Tinfoil cap.
That was big time.
Surprise! I'm not. I'm a skeptic here, but you don't set the deadline for 2 weeks if you want a massive amount of entries in there, right?
But they're
I
going to be
mean,
making all this prizes and stuff for it, so they are just wasting money if they do that. you
Yeah.
know?
That's true.
The other thing, speaking of though, is there was also no if you're going to have that little time, then tease the prizes. At least tease
Yeah.
something.
I mean, I honestly think that
There are gonna be prizes, right? Like that's like for sure thing
Yeah,
they've announced.
And
Okay.
apparently it'll be more geared towards participation, which I have no
Yeah,
problem with. I
it's
think
great.
if you play the best or better than most, you get something extra.
I mean, I was
Yeah.
going to say, if there's one thing about X-Wing, door prizes are the best of any competitive scene I've ever been a part of.
Like
Fan created
except
ones.
yeah,
sure.
I was gonna say community based ones are
Not-
really
not
good.
like
Yeah, so I was
the
saying not the official
big
ones.
Not the official
Like
ones.
I worked my tail off to get an invite. I was lucky enough to play well enough to get one, and then they
Yeah.
gave me a misprinted Soontir Fell card, and I was insulted by that. And I'm gonna blame that for the reason I went
That's
0-3
so funny.
and lost my games by a combined
But you
like
still,
1 point.
you still got the card. No, but yeah, I mean, the misprinted participation cards they're very funny.
Oh, you said
Um,
cards like there was more than one prize they gave. No, it
Oh
was
no,
one,
I was
yeah.
talking about last year when we got the Ion cannon that had the Ion turret art,
Yeah.
stuff like
At
that.
least the people who played in Worlds that year in Swiss got cardboard stuff for like
Right.
dials and
Yeah.
Rebels. Yeah, nothing.
The Gen Con stuff was cool. The Jedi cards and
Yeah,
the dials.
I got- yeah,
that was
I-
all
cool.
the Gen Con
I
stuff.
love-
Surprised
I mean,
that
the
that wasn't a thing
templates
in Worlds.
The
Yeah.
fact that new dice are back, I think that's great.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I will say totally great that they're going to do more participation centered prizes. I think my feeling too is that they might also just be on a time crunch to figure out what the heck structured play is even going to look like. It's also possible, like I have no,
but that collateral
idea.
damage for that is
Oh,
too
yeah.
bad.
No, it's I mean it's a series of bad decisions, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's going to compound as like the year goes on.
It's just like what I'm worried about is that they're like, hey, we're going to do these GTs. It's set up that not a lot of people have a chance to like put an application, like talk to a store, find a location. And then they're like,
Yeah.
well, guys, the GTs weren't a big success. So we're going to have to stop doing the GTs because nobody wanted to go. And it's like, and they'll conveniently ignore how hard it was to set them up, as they're putting a lot of work on us, on community organizers, to find judges, to find 32 plus people minimum. When, I mean, how many times did people tell you, oh, I want an invite, but I only had 12 people, so I didn't get it.
For sure.
That problem doesn't go away. And if you remove invites from smaller events, it could make it even harder to secure players.
Well, and
it
I
probably
think
will.
I
And to
think
just
that's
try to find
why
a venue
they're
that can fit that many
transitioning-
people.
Yeah, I think that's why
Yeah,
they're
not the city.
transitioning to Worlds being like just show up,
Show up and play in
Yeah.
and get in.
and
I don't hate that, to be
I
honest.
don't either, because that does solve the issue that like the players in Norway and other players were having in smaller locations where they just like physically couldn't get store kits. And if you're in a, a less populated area, like that was one of the big issues with Star Kits too, is like if you're playing out in Wyoming, you might only be able to get like 6 players to your store. Now everyone's got a fair shot at Worlds, and it will be, the best of the best there. So it still makes a reason that you have to play test. You still have to go to store championships and things like that. I think that, we're going to have a much more abridged, like official Grand Tour season for sure. I was also surprised that maybe they didn't go a different direction like they do with other games where you have like even like Pokemon trading cards or even like Magic the Gathering or where you have store championships that will give you points that will qualify you for a regional event, and then the regional event feeds into a major tournament circuit. Like you could plan around and do something like that still gets local stores involved, and you can have a tournament structure like somewhat similar.
So there's some stuff I like. At first it's like there's no way you can spin this as being better than the system we had before, which was everything. It was to the smallest level, you had store champs, you had regional events, and you had worlds. Now, it looks like I don't know this, but there has been no word on store champs. I feel like at this point we would have at least heard that there will be one, because middle of May or end of May was when people started hosting store champs. Yeah. So that season has to kind of line up. Now we've lost some stuff,
right?
And at first it seemed like we lost the top and bottom, and just had this middle ground, which is kind of just floating there. Now we have an attached, like at least the GTs don't directly feed into Worlds, but there's a little bit more opportunity. But as a local organizer, I don't have the space or the money or the connections to get a warehouse in the city of Chicago to host 32 people. And then I would be heartbroken to realize that only 12 people could make it, or I couldn't get 32. And I mean, in AMG, I'm not saying that, they're trying to get us to spend all our money, but it is putting so much on somebody or a couple of people to put all of this together and hope and pray that it works out and that people show up and it is able to be an official GT.
I think that the X-Wing community is so great at organizing our own tournaments and putting our own events and stuff together that they're okay with leaving that up to us and taking a step back from having like the organized, play circuit be more on the forefront. So they're going to be leaning on like a lot of fans more, because the biggest thing that we're missing is the local store involvement. And that's to me that's the biggest kicker, and that's going to be the biggest loss. Because like that's where we're all meeting up. That's where we're playing. That's going to be your number one supporter, and that's where the local community is going to survive.
Most stores stop selling X-Wing product because they're like, nobody knows how to get into this game unless they find online resources and seek it out, which your average Joe isn't going to know to do that. Not everyone's on Discord. Not everyone's completely in tune with online communities for games they haven't started playing yet or are about to start playing. But that's a good point about the store ecosystem, because the store champ kits were purchased by the stores. They weren't just given out. Obviously there's manufacturing costs on Asmodee's side, but our store, Good Games, shout out to Good Games, shout out to Spellbound in Chicago, are two main stores. Good Games, I think they ended up kind of stumbling into buying like 4 or 5 kits, like way too many for us. So I'm like, we ran 2 events and then we borrowed a kit for Dragonfall and all this stuff. But I felt like that was a waste. Like, someone else needs this. And
I was going to say
we sold out every time.
Our Norwegian listeners will be like,
I know. Yeah, right. It was Good Games. And the store was just looking out for us. They're like, it's so sweet of them, because we only have 4 to 6 people every week, and they're like, hey, we bought some kits for you without me asking, and they're like, whatever you need. And
our local support is really great.
We put together great events too.
Yeah, I was going to say, to be fair, like for our tournaments, people show up, like, for those. So
we sell out.
We're very fortunate.
And most of the reason is it's because there's a lot of passion put into it. We do extra prizes on top of the store champ kits, because you can't expect too much from those kits, but the prices weren't mind blowing. They were there.
We're also setting up streaming there, and
we're streaming, and Good Games gives us the whole floor, and for the whole day, and it's great.
Yeah.
So we'll post a link to our store champ happening on July 13th, the weekend of July 13th.
Yeah, we'd love to see you.
Yeah. So and that will be extended because why the hell not with community prizes?
So this is kind of
and they would have enough
lining
space to host a GT.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
this is the silver lining of AMG. If they take a step back, I mean, if it's proven anything to me over these past couple of years, is that we don't need AMG around to like keep this game like fun and interesting. I'm going to say that AMG being around, selling new product, new ships, stuff like that is going to help. And having organized play is going to like keep new players getting into the space. It's going to foster a better, like, newer environment. However, the fans of X-Wing have been able to put together far more interesting tournaments and more interesting content than they have. Like, in their absence, I think everyone's really risen to the occasion, and that's like the people and the player base is what makes X-Wing fun and like where it's at.
Andrew, do you want to raise your mic, or is that where you want it?
Yeah.
It just seems a little low, but
I mean, I don't know.
I can hear you fine.
As long as I'm coming through okay, I think that'll be all right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excuse me. All right. Yeah, I mean, Manny, I know how much with Extended, how much you want to desperately play a Star Fortress or Han. And
so excited. How does Han work in Extended, actually?
So Han lets you can place him like in the middle of the board, basically. Long story short, you can place him
if you want to.
in your setup area if you wanted to.
Okay, cool. No, I'll be sticking with my 5270s. Thank you.
Yeah, but I mean, Extended, is this a silver lining? Does that mean that more extended support through community means is going to be a thing? I would expect so, because the meta's stale. Like,
for sure. Yeah,
we have Battle over Endor, and it is a slight disruptor, but only for 2 factions.
Yep.
I don't really buy into the argument that Battle over Endor shakes up the meta entirely for every faction. It's like,
no, it doesn't.
The things that were viable are probably going to stay viable.
I was going to say Battle over Endor supercharges like Empire and Rebel, which were already really good factions to begin with.
Yeah, they didn't need help. You wouldn't argue that they needed the help.
They don't need. That's the thing. They're like the 2 factions that didn't need
the
anything.
B-Wings, the Jammer.
Oh my God. Also,
I mean, it just feels like they're like the 2 popular factions.
They're so good.
It just makes enough money. Yeah.
I mean, I don't even think is that too. It's that they also have the most content in the Star Wars universe, something to like make a fun, interesting game around too.
Yeah. There's nothing like X-Wing. I mean, there's nothing like.
Oh, but there's nothing like like Rebel versus Empire. Like, there's just too little like FO resistance content for them to even pull from. That's like
true.
An epic battle.
Because if you do because if you do like the Battle Star Killer base, that's all T-70s. I mean, it'd be a dream of mine, but there's not much you can do.
What I think would be kind of cool is if they did like a moving map theme, where if you did like the FO chasing the resistance fighters, and then you go across the map, but you position yourselves facing the same direction, and then as you like go off the map, like you have like so many turns that you have to like survive. That might be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the scenario packs is, I think, a testament to Atomic Mass Games trying to move X-Wing into a more casual approach with just blowing up the Death Star, having your Battle over Endor, maybe Battle over Starkiller Base. Like, scenarios, I think they wanted people, even though it coexists in a competitive space pretty well, they wanted to be able to try to capitalize more on the less competitive market for the game. And I don't know if that's really, I don't think it's really panned out to the great lengths they were hoping. But the scenario packs, like in a vacuum with all the utility that the pilots and stuff give you, they work really well.
They're very well designed.
Yeah, and then once you leave that space and put it into a tournament list or go to a tournament with it, I think it's more challenging and frustrating with the power level issues that we've seen in some cases.
I mean, yes, because these ships are balanced for the scenario, not for the competitive play for the most part.
I think that they are created with competitive play first in mind. and then
they have
build a
to,
scenario
because that's what
around
sell
them.
that more people are going to buy it for competitive
Yeah.
purposes. That's true for sure.
And you can feel that when you're playing with the ships. There are a couple like pilots like the new Soon tier, the Jet and Wedge, that are like pushed, that they're like, we want these in the competitive game. But the other ships in there too are very fun, even if they don't make as much sense in competitive.
Yeah. So let's talk about Embracer Group really quick.
Yeah,
The parent company.
Going back to
the parent company. So for those of you that don't know how this works, I'm not going to try to mansplain it too much, but Atomic Mass Games, Fantasy Flight Games, the two kind of shepherds, has been shepherd and current shepherd of X-Wing, are run by parent company Asmodee, who does all these different board games, tabletop games galore. And then their parent company is the Embracer Group, which is it's a private equity firm. Is that?
I believe so. Yeah.
And the Embracer Group has a few different entities that they've decided to sell off and split off. Fun fact: the Embracer Group also was the owner of the Lord of the Rings, like the rights to the Lord of the Rings. That's why you're seeing a lot of licensed Lord of the Rings stuff out right now. A really bad game in the Lord of the Rings, a Gollum, came out.
That inspiring a movie that's coming out in 2026.
So there's some good and some bad with that. Neither here nor there, but it's a difficult time for Asmodee. Mainly, we're looking at Asmodee through in the scope of X-Wing, because Asmodee is going to be the one that ultimately will kibosh one of their games based on their business status and how they're doing as a business. Unfortunately, Embracer Group is losing so much money that Asmodee is strapped with a lot of the debt. I don't know if it's all of it.
Yeah. So Embracer essentially gave Asmodee near $1 billion of debt that they are solely responsible for.
Who wants this?
Exactly.
Slaps this bad boy's got $1 billion of debt in it.
Yeah. So Asmodee is not becoming its own entity, but has close to $1 billion of debt. That's essentially what's happening.
Yeah. I think it's better for Asmodee to be on its own, but that's a very bad situation.
True. Yeah. No, you don't want to start out with $1 billion loan.
So, man,
you got to pay back.
How do you feel that this kind of situation leading up to it and now has affected Atomic Mass Games and has affected X-Wing?
I mean, it's going to affect everything under Asmodee. So essentially, I believe they have a debt to profit ratio of their debt is 4 times their yearly.
Don't quote us on this.
Profit, I believe. Yeah.
This is not.
I believe.
Advice.
Yeah. That's definitely not financial advice.
Not expert.
That cost cutting is going to be everywhere under Asmodee unless they get bought out or they're able to refinance their
which
debts.
they've already done before. Cost cutting, like when FFG lost X-Wing, is because Asmodee's like, we're reshuffling FFG. You're getting smaller. You're taking over all card games, which Unlimited is doing very well for FFG right now.
But
so
there was
good for
massive
them.
layoffs,
and other board games are like, you are board games and you are card games and anything tabletop games goes. All of this goes to Atomic Mass Games. A very small, like if you think FFG is small, AMG is like a fraction of the size of Fantasy Flight Games, and both of them got serious cuts.
And I mean, when that spinoff happened, I mean, if you remember, there was tons of FFG layoffs. Like, and that were
people I know got laid off.
Yep.
Yeah, and like AMG is a very tiny studio, so any layoffs will just be super impactful. So cost cutting, trying to increase profit. That's gonna be another big one.
Do you think that means less product, Manny, for X-Wing? Would it make sense not to invest in making product?
I personally believe that's going to be the case. Why would you take that risk in a game that might not pay off? I mean, if you're cost cutting, you're not taking risk. I don't think the incentive is there to take a chance on a product that might not be valuable when you have so many other games that are proven to bring in lots of money.
Which I would argue we don't need more. I don't think we need more ships. I think pilot packs, card packs.
But even like the time of just like trying to accommodate for points or just creating new cards is enough of an expense.
We got to talk about points.
That's going to be the biggest thing. Is that we're probably just going to see like less points updates. We're going to be seeing less.
I thought once a year was not enough.
But once a year,
maybe not getting one at all, at least for the next.
And also,
months.
you would think that if they really want to incentivize grand tournaments, they would change up points in order to get people to be excited to go and like play like the new meta. The fact they're not even getting that
good,
is just
I just know they're gonna say the grand, the next transmission. Well, the ground tournaments didn't really, we were really excited, but we didn't see.
It's like you're not putting your best foot forward.
I mean, they have to have a grand tournament first, I think.
So, do you believe if I ask you guys, is Atomic Mass Games? What's the ratio of being set up to fail and setting themselves up to fail? Where would you, what is it, 60-40 being set up to fail versus setting themselves up to fail? Because the GT thing is just bad.
Setting themselves up to fail or setting X-Wing up to fail?
No, how much of it do you think is beyond them? How much do you think they're being set up to fail? 80%?
Yeah, 80%.
That's pretty reasonable. Yeah. You think there's more agency on AMG's part?
No, yeah, I mean, well, no, I was gonna say, I think that they're in the dark. Like, I feel like they're in the dark, like we are. Like,
so
they would tell us more if they knew. Yeah, they would be telling us more if they knew. If they knew more. Yeah,
and what it's like it's like kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like we want to sell new product, but it costs money. But the only way to make money is to sell new product. But we can't sell new product because it costs money. But we need to make money to be able to sell product.
When you're in a situation like that, you just don't do anything with the product, and you pay attention to the other stuff, to the stuff that's actually making money.
I am happy that we're living in a world where they're not just shooting out card packs like every month.
That would be
because I mean
the game would be ruined.
As a Magic the Gathering player too, I feel like I'm being served cards through a fire hose. But like that is for them, because cards cost nothing for them to make or print. So like that is the inverse, is that they're like, oh, to make a quick buck, they're going to be showering us with new card packs and new points, like a shifting meta every like month or two.
If I had one wish, if I knew that they were going to mark the game as complete or just not do points change for the foreseeable future, it'd say, okay, make one more change and graduate everything from extended into standard, and then walk away.
To me, the fact they're not doing that is an indicator to me that the game is, that they're not willing to call the game solved, because that once they put everything extended back in, that's the only time where they can say the game is done.
At least would be, I mean, it would be exciting. That would be a way to make things exciting again, is like, oh, I can bring a Star Viper in my scum list.
I think you need to just that's the natural progression for the game, for sure.
Yeah, no, it's this situation it's tough. I'm not ever. I don't think anybody thinks of me as an Atomic Mass Games apologist, but I do walk the line on both sides and criticizing them a lot, and also kind of trying to understand the business side and how they are just not set up for really any success. The grand tournaments, I can't predict are going to be successful based on kind of how little they've given people in terms of opportunity and time to set up for one. But
yeah, I mean, it's
fingers crossed, I guess.
Yeah. Early to tell in the season. So we have to see a grand tournament first to even.
Yeah, we're gonna try to stream some. I'm trying to work with Pastimes to set up one over there, and we'll be there to stream that. But who knows? It's complicated.
Yeah, the incentive is just not really there to show up.
Like on Facebook, you see Atomic Mass Games avatar, and you see X-Wing, and it's marked as it's a complicated relationship. And you can care react that all you want.
I mean, it has very few relationships start with two people being forcibly married together.
I mean, some cultures, they like to do the arranged marriage, but
sure,
it was
I feel like it's the majority of human history.
Even in arranged marriages, there's like the parents vet the couples.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, no, it's almost like your neighbor is held at gunpoint and told to move in with you.
Right.
Is basically what happens.
It's like the police show up at your house and being like, these people will live with you now.
Yeah, it's like, okay. It's like, so you can know anything about what I do?
Yeah, you're responsible for them as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're also going to start doing your job.
Yeah. No, they're going to help you with it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's just something I think the community should keep in mind. Special shout out to the people who comment on our X-Wing games on YouTube and our who say stuff like, why do you even bother? Well, this game's dead. It died a long time ago. They're
not wrong.
People. I don't know why people feel the need to comment that on our videos. They know, I think they're annoyed with us that we're continuing to show support and coverage for the game in a way, and so they want to just constantly churn out this game died long ago.
I don't know. To me, I appreciate the effort. You took time. You took the time out of your day to to write this rather than just ignore it. You chose to give me some like push of your day.
Let's do something
I
fun.
appreciate that.
I will say this: the game will only be dead to me when it stops being fun, and it has not stopped being fun. It's still a blast.
I always admire the optimist in you, Andrew. I feel like I'm a little bit more like Manny than I am like you in terms of optimism. You're the optimist of the trio. I'm more of the moderate but skewing pessimist. And then Manny has lived in the pessimist doghouse for a very long time.
I also though have seen how awesome our community is. Like, I know that if AMG came out tomorrow and they said, hey, we actually have some news for you, it is a closed game, we're not going to be making any new product, we're not selling anything, it's going into licensing hell, so no one else can even pick it up, buy, or publish it. I know that our community would get together, we would have our own way of creating point values for ourselves, we create our own meta. There would also be ways for us to even, like, we have such deep connections with Etsy to, like, we'd make our own card packs, cardboard, things like that.
We couldn't even make our own squad builder.
They don't even, but like even their squad builds community run.
That's true.
Yeah,
so,
but you can't.
Who has
can't tell people where to go to build their squads.
Yeah, like who has the technical know-how to build a squad builder?
People,
the way that we want it.
People got Google.
So here's one.
I mean, props to the 2.0 community for going strong. I mean, I actually joined their Discord recently. They are extremely active.
I'll have to check that. I'll have to look at how things are now.
Like the old ESP is still being updated. Yeah. There was a hotfix a couple days ago, so props to them, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, that's proof enough that you can keep this alive.
I don't think there's going to be a community like that for 2.5 if like the end does come for it. That's my personal hot take when it comes to that.
I for sure think there will be. Like Nick would keep streaming. We keep this going up. Like
he just will be a thing, but like in terms of just like the infrastructure to support 2.5, I don't think it's going to be there when compared to 2.0.
Yeah, I think it would definitely be there. I think there's a lot of people who. I mean, here's the thing. It would be the same split too, because there's a lot of people who really like 2.5 and believe that like a lot of stuff that they didn't like about 2.0 was fixed here. Like, I know me personally, I would prefer to play 2.5, and I know that I'm not alone in that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'm just going through our comments from when we interviewed AMG, and one of the comments is X-Wing is already dead and they keep kicking it. I appreciate that one. These are just funny to read through again. There were Lloyd commented on it.
Lloyd.
Rip X-Wing. I came here to see what the comments might reveal. Yours says all I need to know. Thanks.
I mean, I played with Lloyd a couple months ago.
My goodness, nothing makes the 1.0 or 2.0 diehards more upset than seeing good news and 2.5 continuing on. So this is a pro 2.5. So there's a lot of some people saying this is great. Other people are like, this game sucks. And it's just and we still get those comments.
Yeah, I mean,
it is what it is. It's the internet
still feels that way. Yeah,
it is the internet.
All right, I do want to ask a question. Has 2.5 paid off in where the effects were worth the massive split of the community?
Yeah, in my opinion, yeah. But I like 2.5.
Yeah, but that's a bias. Like I think from a business perspective, it's like, not pay off at all.
No,
that and just like
anytime
like how and like the health of the community.
Anytime you lose, let's say 25% of active players.
The transition. I mean, you talked about it in last episode. Going from 1.0 to 2.0 was a massive loss. Like, it was a bad idea. Whenever you have to massively change rules, it's always a terrible
Interesting
idea.
About 2.0 is that, like, and not to say it's, necessarily worse with AMG, but the conversion kits are pretty consumer friendly.
They were great. They were super consumer friendly.
It was bad for FFG.
But it also, that's what they needed to keep the game alive. Because if they didn't do that, everybody would have just checked out.
Yeah, so I mean, looking back from when FFG, X-Wing was FFG's baby. I mean, FFG absolutely loved this game.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell there was just so much care and attention to detail in the product, like all the products they had
in general. Emphasis on attention, which we feel like we're lacking. We are in a lot of ways. It just feels like we're not getting a lot of attention on the game. Or for any of the titles right now. We're lucky not to be Armada players, but even I would say
but that's like
even
the
MCP
standard.
and
then oh boy.
Shatterpoint have struggled. Legion seems to be doing pretty well. I think Legion is far and away their most successful in that's FFG's game as well, which is interesting. Legion is definitely at the core of a PvP game, and Atomic Mass Games is more of a cooperative. They like the co-op side of the more casual side of tabletop gaming, and Armada, X-Wing, and Legion are all player versus player based, right? More competitive in nature because you're in an adversarial position with the other player. And looking back, I'm just thinking about just reflecting on Fantasy Flight Games, and through 2019, or through really the last World Championship for 2.0 was in 2019, having them, and then transitioning during COVID over Atomic Mass Games, and kind of the duality of that, where I think one thrived and succeeded, and where one has failed. I think both have had a lot of issues when it comes to X-Wing. I have to be honest, I'm going on record in saying this. I do miss Fantasy Flight Games just because they loved X-Wing so much, and I could tell their communication style still wasn't very good, but they did put in a little bit more effort specifically for X-Wing when it came to communication. And it was just a very different game, it's, for better or worse, however you feel about 2.0 or in 1.0. They obviously prioritized X-Wing all the way through from day one to the last day that they had it. I felt like they were always, even during the online community, they were paying attention to things. I just don't get that same feeling that, not that AMG doesn't care per se, you can make that argument, but I just don't feel that it's similar in that way. How do you guys feel about
the
that?
afterthought that we're like the redheaded stepchild that they can't admit that they're not a fan of, but they can't, you can't say that.
No, I think they just don't have anybody that's working in their marketing department.
They just have the people.
They just don't have they probably might be I would not be surprised if they just had their secretary who was doing the social media updates.
Yeah, I mean, I think,
and they're when you have time.
FFG was downsized so much because they were I think it was too fat. They were taking on way too much expense. And so I think we felt that heyday of X-Wing, and there was all this prizes, all these big events, because there was a lot of money, a big OP team from all over coming together for it. I do miss those days though, for sure. The other thing is that FFG liked featuring extended ships at times. There was hyperspace, which is standard now, but they would kind of have a rotation of things come in and out, and I would love something like that again too.
It was cool 2 years ago when at Worlds they had an actual announcement that was exciting and interesting, because when they were showing Battle of Endor that they had something on the horizon, and that the YT-1300 was coming back.
Yeah,
or the 2400. I mean,
or I guess that was a year ago. Battle of Endor, not two, right? Battle of Endor was leaked. Teased a year ago. Yeah, you're good.
Whenever it was teased, but it's just a big difference on going into this year where there is no announcement, there's nothing, and it's been more radio silence towards the end.
Yeah,
basically, just talk to us, just
say something, right?
Yeah, wow, it feels like you're ghosting us.
It does. Give us a call. I have no experience with that at all. I do.
We all do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for saying that. Yeah. Manny, you didn't really, you kind of, when I first met you, you were just getting into the game. So FFG is kind of foreign to you a little bit, right?
A tad bit. I was only playing 2.0 for maybe a month until 2.5 came out. But from what I hear, FFG was definitely more communicative and just more passionate about the game than from what we're seeing from AMG. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. FFG didn't like scenarios. I think they tried in 1.0. There used to be packs that had these cool scenario ideas that I played.
When I mean they were all casual because they weren't as balanced. They were balanced where the ship that you bought, whatever faction that was the hero of the challenge. So they definitely didn't fit in competitive play. Yeah. But it was really cool that along with playtest design, they're every ship that you got had its own MIDI game that it came with.
Yeah, no, I love that. I look forward to that.
That was crazy.
Yeah, I played some of those with my roommates.
I kept all of them.
Yeah, they're from cool. The 1.0 all the cool custom cardboard tokens and stuff. Yeah. But at the height of competitive play, FFG was always, the truest form of X-Wing at the highest level is dogfighting and dogfighting alone. And AMG is like, it doesn't have to just be dogfighting. What if there are other ways that you can win? I do, for the people that get diced or go up against the worst possible matchup when it comes to just pure, power level versus power level. I think scenarios have helped people have an alternative win condition. It's still heavily influenced by random order after dial rolls, though, as well, which sometimes, like when you play Scramble and you move first the entire game, you can never scramble points.
I'll say it's better than bids.
Bidding,
like
knowing the entire time, if you're moving first or second, I mean, at least you knew, but it still made it in certain matchups just literally impossible if the other player knew what they were doing.
Well, it would just, I mean, it also just feel bad trying to build a list that would have an 18-point bid.
Yep. I totally didn't do that. Totally haven't done that before.
That's everybody did that. Right. I mean, like,
totally didn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what was even more feel bad is if you built an 18-point bid and then you would go up against somebody who had a 20, and then you're like, well, all right. So no, I mean, I think that I don't have rose tinted glasses for the old days. And I don't know. I also feel
but you wouldn't say it was bad, right? Would you say that like 2.0 was? Did you ever just really dislike playing the game?
Will say I felt the metas got staler way faster. And there was in 2.0 the one thing I didn't like, because I like playing a lot of different ships and lists and stuff like that. In that each faction would have a very solved list, and that without scenarios would not change, would not factor into your list building. And I did not care for that. I found that playstyle very boring.
It's interesting you say that, because I kind of disagree. I thought that every table had very different archetypes based on even if it was same factions, everybody was playing very different pieces. A lot more generics.
A lot more generics.
I miss generics.
You could see,
I want to be back.
You could see a 100-point suit tier.
I don't.
I don't care about the characters. I care about the ships.
You could see, you could see a rack with 30 upgrade points on them, or you could see an Oiken with 2 upgrades.
Yeah, it was just more.
I don't think the rack ever
diversity.
had more than like 1 or 2 upgrades.
Yeah, but in terms of balancing, I don't want to go super deep into this, but I think we can all agree when you have a 200-point scale, you can make softer or more aggressive adjustments to points based on balance. I think we're in a little bit of a tricky place with balancing certain things that at 3 points, for example, are like ultimate staples that every single list has, and at 4 is never getting played again. That's difficult. 200-point list building is better for balancing in that regard, at least.
What have you
think
seen
there's
anyone
a lot more variety now, though, too, and that with the way that they have like the objective, like the what you call it, the cards.
Yeah, except like top 8 had like 5 Republic lists with 3 arcs.
That's true. Yeah, no, we got to talk about the fact that arcs are still here to roll the entire day, and I'm probably going to roll
There was
entirety of
I think top 16.
Yeah,
there was, but but would you boil?
That's the exception, right?
When it's 6 arc 170s on final table, it's like, there's 7 factions in this game. I want to see a little bit more diversity in that.
I mean, but even at like the end of 2.0, like regen Jedi was everywhere, and when my favorite part of 2.0 was the friends we made along the way. No, it was when we were using like the rule set of 2.5 before 2.5 officially came out. So it was 200-point list building, but with newer rules, and you do road rolls.
That was awesome. I really liked that, and there was no more bidding, so you could people were just bringing 200-point lists.
Yeah, with the bumping and stuff too.
And I think that was the only thing that the bump red focus thing wasn't a part of it. I don't.
Yeah, I think that was.
I remember playing LVO with a new rule. Yeah, and that was one of the last things that we knew about was like the bump red focus.
And what they changed objective or obstacles.
Yep. Yeah. I got some questions from I'm skipping a part. Let me backtrack really quick. So just for you guys all, that I feel like I've said this a couple times on our streams, but just kind of echo the same sentiment. What our role is like 312 Squadron moving forward is, we just started a Patreon. We, last year we had an incredibly successful and very busy circuit of going to a ton of tournaments and streaming our own and other people's events and going to Indianapolis and doing interviews with people at different events and everything. We don't plan on stopping any of that. No matter what happens with the game, we'll continue to run our own events in person and online. We'll have our own leagues. We'll cover games, at my place like we did casually, or we'll go to grand tournaments or whatever. Duty calls will be there as much as possible. X-Wing is still fun. We still care about X-Wing. We're mostly an X-Wing channel. We'll try to branch out and do Other video game stuff just casually, like, Friday night games where you get the group together and play and have fun. But
maybe watch a building of Barad-dûr. Brick by brick.
Yeah, brick by brick. Yeah. There's the 4-camera setup with every single angle. You could see the brick in, 4K 4 different times. Yeah. And so, we don't have any plans on easing off on that. It might have seemed like more recently that we haven't really been doing as much the last like 6 weeks. And it's really just because we haven't been around. We literally have been incapacitated for a while.
I was out of the country for 2 weeks.
Indisposed, rather.
And I've been moving for the past 2 months too. And on top of the most aggressive wedding season I've had in a while. So it's not. We're back to like actually making content now. So
there'll be a little bit more consistency again. Ultimately, we do this for fun. Like this is like volunteer stuff for all of us. Sorry, Manny, you're not getting paid today.
Oh damn!
You got Chipotle at least.
It's worth it.
But like we're not gonna stream 5 times a week, 7 times a week, or have a set schedule where every single week it will always be the exact same. We prioritize this and we do a lot more on some days, and sometimes we have to ease off. Sometimes we just have stuff that comes up. So, what's nice is that I think everyone's on the same page about that. It would be burnout central if we committed to something crazy.
But we're gonna try.
But we're gonna try. Do or do not. There is no try, but we're gonna try.
Yeah, we'll always try to keep you updated, which makes us a lot better than AMG.
I never also shots fired. I never agreed with that saying from Yoda. There's definitely trying. You sometimes got to try.
And it's a very like Elon Musk philosophy that Yoda has.
Yeah, it is.
It's like, I just do make more money. Just do it.
I know. I kind of understood it as.
I mean, the idea is that doing is trying.
Yeah.
Right. Like I would say that's the same thing.
Yep.
Because if you do and then fail, that's called a try.
Yeah. And Palpatine never said try it. He said do it. Try it.
But then.
Did you know he is the Senate?
Anakin went for a try and it worked. So when you try and work, it becomes a do.
Tried so hard, but yet so far.
If you do and then don't, to me that's a try.
Well said. Yeah. I believe that was Aristotle that said that.
Hamlet. Yeah.
Socrates.
Nietzsche.
So great.
So we've got some good questions from the audience here from our Discord. If you guys want to ask us questions for our next episode, we do have a 312 Squadron podcast kind of channel section in our Discord. I would love to talk to you about the podcast. Thank you all for listening, as always.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your ideas and input on everything we talked about today, too. Where you think X-Wing's going. Is it going to be resilient?
Yeah, well, plenty of people will be like, it's already been dead. Just can't wait for those.
Yeah, just insert a Discord poll saying, is X-Wing dead?
It's Manny's 25 burner accounts. It's like, dude, I have to IP ban it at this point.
You assume I care that much to have 25 burner accounts.
That's the funny thing. It's like you do or you don't.
Look, I mean, to steal from Parks and Rec, when I hear the internet, I just hear a lot of people caring loudly.
I love to quote Parks and Rec.
Yeah, that's so good.
It's a great one.
JJ asked a few questions. One, he says, are there any changes coming to Patreon? So what's interesting, I saw Patreon for the first time. They allow you to change your tier pricing. We're not doing that. I like having the $5, $10, $20 tiers. I think it's very approachable and very digestible, and it's easy for me on my end and running it. Maybe in the future we add a larger tier. The thing is, right now, every tier gets something. You at least get cards and stickers in the mail every 3 months. We're going to continue to do that and create cool, awesome swag. The people have loved what we've sent out so far. It includes the Chicago, the Deep Dish and Capone tiers get metal objective tokens. They get 1 every 3 months. So you build up a full set of 5. And we get, currently working on some exclusive cards for Battle Over Endor from one of my favorite artists that I'm commissioning. So we got a lot of plans. So the plans for Patreon right now is just continue to keep ramping it up. If you enjoy what we do and, would like to see us do something like this again, you can definitely consider joining our Patreon. It does really help us. Whereas, for example, I like to be transparent about this. Twitch takes 50% of every dollar you give us. You're basically donating half of the money you give us that you think is going all to us to Amazon.
Yeah.
Patreon is very kind in giving us most of the money that you send us so that we can actually use it. So, if you want to choose one over the other, if you're thinking about it or considering it, you can do Patreon. But I just thank you we have over 30 people already. We started Patreon in January. I've only posted about it a few times and it's been great so far. So that's the Patreon stuff. He also asks, have the recent changes made us look at other games? I think by us, like in terms of 312 Squadron, yes and no. Like we're not going to become a Star Wars Unlimited stream. I'm not a really big gamer. X-Wing is my game. Like I play other board games very casually and seldomly. Like I'm not into other games. So.
I'm not getting into another card game.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I played Yu-Gi-Oh once. Not gonna go back there again.
It'll probably be mostly Star Wars or Lord of the Rings related because it's just kind of my bias. Like I like to stream that stuff. So maybe more building streams in the future. Painting would be cool. We could do like a night where we get together and paint some ships and try to take over our own mini extravaganza stream or something.
I only have enough room in my life for one competitive game, and X-Wing is going to be it. So.
Yeah, and you have a lot of, you're a man of hobbies, Andrew. You pick up a few.
I have a new hobby every 3 months. But
you don't ditch everything like a lot of people do. Like you haven't ditched X-Wing in wake of like other hobbies.
Right.
People pick up games and walk away.
Like X-Wing has always been there for years. So that's one that it's not going anywhere for me. Like I need a competitive gaming outlet, and X-Wing is, perfect for that for me.
Yeah. No. So we'll do more casual streams like Battlefront 2 Classic Collection, or just like screwing around and being goofy and having fun. I feel like we're kind of funny, so like sometimes we capitalize on being silly and dumb and like just having a good time, and that's what we ultimately want to do, is be known for being laid back, but also you know, professional in technical ways, and then not so much in other ways. At least speaking for myself. And then he asks, assuming we get them, how will store champs look in relation to GTs? What do you think, Manny? I'll start with you on that one.
I'm sorry. How will store champs
look? Like what would you think a store champ would be like? Do you think we'd get a kit? Do you think the price support would stay the same? Do you think like there will be store champs?
I mean,
you had to guess.
I'm on the assumption that there won't be any store champs, but if there is, probably something similar to last year.
Yeah. What about you, Andrew? What do you think in relation to a grand tournament store champs would look like?
I mean, I feel like we might not be getting like store champ kits where, and if we do, it might have like just participation, alternate art card participation prizes, basically. Be very simple. Whereas if they're going to do something called a grand tournament, I would expect the prize support there to be much more substantial, like they did with Gen Con last year, where we're having like faction cardboard for like top 10 dice kits.
Better be at this point.
Right. Yeah, how the Gen Con have better prize support than
you would have like participation prizes for everybody else at like the grand tournament as well, with like exclusive arts for, the top 16 up, or top, 32 up. And I would be expecting like a grand tournament to feel more like a grand tournament where you would have, twice as many people as like a store championship. Like it'd be like 40 people, like plus. So I'm looking at like the Lone Star Open to me would be like a grand tournament. The LVO would be a grand tournament. Like that is the tier that I'm looking for a grand tournament style structure, where you're having like, 40 to 100 players showing up.
Yeah, I think it would just be scale. I think store champs will be community led, so they won't even be quote unquote store champs.
Yeah, I think they'll look like they did, before, but with a lot more extended.
Yeah, hopefully. JJ, thank you for asking those questions.
Yeah.
Love you, buddy. I was gonna say brother. I said buddy. Love you, buddy. That's a new word, buddy. Charlie Sherman asks, what's different about a pro studio? Well, this is nicer than like also of us sitting at home.
This looks like an actual film studio.
We peaked. It's all downhill from here.
Can you imagine if this was 20 minutes away instead of hour 45?
Oh yeah, exactly. I don't know what to do with my hands. I feel like throughout this entire episode I've been like, don't know where to place my hands, don't know how to like have my legs.
It's ruined the episode. At this point we probably don't even post it, honestly. Your hands have ruined the episode. You've single-handedly
I don't know where to look. It's very
Talladega Nights, just like, what do I do with my hands? Yeah. Charlie also said 312 should start a formal onboarding channel for new players to make it easier to get into the game. What do you guys think about that? So he was suggesting like having ambassadors of people that are like specialized in one thing, like somebody you can talk to for list building, somebody you can talk to about like setup and turn zero, like It would take multiple people and a lot of effort, but
That would be great.
Yeah.
it would be helpful to get people into the game if they wanted to play online.
I think some refreshed, like I would like to make some like refresh video content around like turn zero and the philosophies there. I think that's probably one of the more obtuse things for new players to get into and to understand, because it is, I think, now one of the most important aspects of the game. But I feel like a Discord already is a great resource for new players. Where, I mean, I remember like even when I first started out, the Discord groups where I would just go and just being like, hey, I'm thinking about like this list, and then I would shoot it out and a bunch of people would just tell me why I'm wrong or like how I'd want to fly it, and then I would be like, well, they don't know what they're talking about, and I'd bring it to Thursday and then get wrecked and be like, oh, okay, maybe they know what they're talking about.
The wisdom of the crowd.
Yeah, that was more me. But no, I think like the Discord community that we have built up is so approachable that like if anybody has any questions, people are really quick to answer them and stuff. I know you'll see me in there every once in a while when I don't understand like a rules interaction, yelling judge and then waiting for the first person to answer.
And then you like ignored me the last time I answered.
Well, you answered right when I hit send. Is the problem.
Well, how?
Like when I hit send, like I hit
help.
send and then your answer popped.
It's like Andrew's like not good enough. Nick's answer is not good enough.
Well, I forgot what there was like a side topic that was happening at the same time. So I was like, I know you're all online. You're not answering my question.
Yeah.
But the problem is I was also like in the middle of a game. So I was like,
I figured
time is kind of prescient.
I know Manny's a big supporter of everything 2.5, so he could be your go-to resource for anything. We'll give
I'm
you
not that
a
great at the
cell phone
game,
number.
so if you're looking for advice from me, you're looking in the wrong place.
He plays.
Well, no, I mean,
he plays the Wonder Bread list.
I'll just redirect you to one of these guys.
If you have a question about resistance, then
yeah,
he's the.
If you have a question about the quantity of X-wings, T-70 X-wings you should have on your list, he will give you an answer.
Manny,
that's fine.
I mean, I was flying a T-70 list that for last year for Gen Con. I flew it for most of like last season. Manny helped me build that list.
Yeah,
and you were an excellent resource for me. So I absolutely.
He has his uses. He does.
I have some uses.
You have a couple.
Not much, but some. I'm like a specialized tool.
If you ever need somebody to go to Chipotle with,
oh yeah, I'm your guy.
He's your guy.
Yeah.
Or any Mexican restaurant. You've helped me out.
Yeah.
I mean, everywhere you've taken me, it's been amazing.
I love him. Just any Mexican restaurant. He is Latino. If anybody noticed.
I mean, this is a podcast, so you know. You've only just added a video component.
We're keeping this.
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Man.
No, I can't speak Spanish, but I do have an affinity for Latin cuisine.
He speaks it very well.
Even then, still questionable.
Rosetta Stone.
English is hard, yeah.
Rosetta Stone.
Yes,
okay, like I feel like the average American can only speak like 80% of English. English is just
Indubitably. It's a word.
Yo ven a España 2 semanas pasado.
Flipping the script on us, Andrew.
Yeah.
The rest of this is going to be in Spanish now. Copper Blue asks, I love you, John. One of the many Johns we've had on our stream. Love you, John. I feel an overall sense of apathy from the community towards the game right now. How can we reignite that if possible?
Man, you're not getting it from me. I'll tell you that.
You're also not getting it from me because I'm right there with you.
Oh,
I'm right there with the community.
Andrew is. Let me explain this. Andrew is not apathetic. Manny has always been apathetic.
Yeah.
And I'm just pathetic.
No, you're not.
Hey-oh. Okay, well,
no,
it's a good question. It's a really good question. Very topical.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like this has been the level of divisiveness and outrage that's been kind of ongoing since the creation of 2.5. I feel like the community is kind of in the same spot that it's always been in.
Yeah. We're in the trenches always.
Yeah. We're a community that definitely cares. I think the fact that people are willing to jump online and get so upset that, their favorite thing is not at the forefront of AMG, or that they're not getting the feedback that they want, is a good sign that the community is not apathetic. I would say
that's true.
Apathy is the one thing that is not present right now. It's frustration. But that's coming from a community that just really cares.
Apathy is death.
I think John plays a lot online. I think there might be a feeling of apathy in terms of people looking for games online, because it's like, man, I've been playing the same stuff and I'm always playing against the same stuff.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is where, like, you know, I'm mostly hoping for a points update more than I am about like organized play, just because I think that the current meta is very stale. I myself have also gone back to like I played Battle Over Endor the last time I played, just because I wanted something that wasn't
unique
the meta.
and different.
Yeah, I just need a palate cleanser. And
sure.
like, honestly, even for our tournament, if we make that extended, like that'd be awesome. I'm excited to go for some extended tournaments now.
It will
just
be
to do
extended.
something different.
Yeah, in our team league, I'm letting people vote, and it looks like it will be some manner of extended in our team league online as well. So Wardy asks, will the game ever be marked complete by Atomic Mass Games and handed over to the community? I think it's a matter of time. I don't know if it's imminent, but I think that's going to happen eventually. I mean, every game gets completed at some point. So.
I feel like a more likely scenario is that they might like someone might lose the license to X-Wing and then they'll turn it over to the community. Like I think like more than it being even marked complete.
Yeah.
It's
probably something you don't want to say.
I think it's
also not anytime. No, because then like that would be like announcing a bank has no money. Like
that's true. That would cause mass panic. Yeah, they still have like some inventory to sell and to push. I'm sorry, what's talking to the mic? But the hot take. I think it's going to be marked completed by the end of this year.
Oh,
I think this.
No,
I think this is the year. I think this is the year.
I don't know what the other one's what. There we go.
Yeah.
The hopeful one? All right.
I think this year we'll see it. Well, I guess
no.
Well, here, I guess, like, what do you prefer? Do you prefer AMG saying that the game is complete, or have the game be quiet for, like, let's say 2 or 3 years, then AMG has some idea on what they could do, and then announce products? Because by then, who's going to be there, like, actively paying attention to the game?
I mean,
which one is better?
I actually think I'm of the belief that we'll get at least one more points update before the end of the year, but it is a huge missed opportunity and a shame that it's not like now that we got it by now. We like what ideally we'd have a longer cast talking about the big changes and what pilots have changed in cost and upgrades, but we didn't get that. So
I mean, you would expect after Worlds would always be a points change just to shake up the new season.
Like, oh great, there was 5 Republic lists in the top 8 and we're not changing anything.
Can't wait to go up against those again and the big wings.
We gotta love the ARC 170s.
Yeah, no, it's very concerning that none of the standalone cards have been touched when it comes to points.
Yep, it is. I know it's
but no, I mean, I don't think it's going to be marked complete like anytime soon.
Oh, that's my bet. That's yeah.
Okay, well, we'll bookmark this. I don't think it'll be marked complete for at least another year, is my thought. But
yeah,
I don't know if marked complete or as much as it like maybe it's like a mutual ghosting where they just never say anything
it's
about
like
it again.
By complete, are we assuming that it's like the same complete as like Armada, where they said that no new products are going to be worked on, but we're still reprinting stuff?
If they announce that they're not going to make any more product, that is complete.
That is complete.
Okay, cool.
Right,
all right.
Correct. That is like the definition is that nothing new will be made for the game, even though it will be like old stuff will be available for purchase and print.
Cool, because Armada still gets like some print and play where like they release cards, but not like actual cards. They're just like AMG release these prints.
Mm-hmm.
They can just.
I don't like that stuff.
Like, is that
stuff out and cutting it out?
All right. Is that like against the idea of a game
to me that's not
complete, or is that still
right? Like
you
that,
can't buy it. It's not tangible. It's not a card in your hand. It's you print it out at home and cut it out.
Yeah, I mean that is more like if they're not creating any new like official product, like then they
no offense, but like that's something you do if you're like running like a backyard. Like in your garage, like game.
No, I mean, no. What that is something that you care about this game, but you're like.
But even cardstock is too much.
No, your boss AMG is like, you don't work on this, but you do it for fun in your spare time.
That's so weird.
And then you come into work and you say, hey, I got this cool idea anyway, and they'll go, okay, fine, put it on the website as a print and play. Like, that's what it is. Is that it's the people who like really care about the game, but they are told that they can't like make it during the day or like doing this in their spare time.
Yeah.
Andre asks, Andre over in New Zealand, what can we do to pull in new players as a community?
I have an answer for this.
Yeah, I mean, I'll real quick keep doing what we're doing now. I think we're doing a lot of good things. I think more people who have been more passive in helping should step up. I think we should be more willing to help people online. I think people are intimidating playing X-Wing online because they feel like they always have to play. They have to know the game.
I mean, yeah, well, definitely like spend a day going with a new player through Tabletop Simulator for sure. But to get people to find out about X-Wing, I say go play in public spaces. Go play at your local coffee shop, like bar or Chipotle, anywhere that they have a 3 foot by 3
That'll
foot
be a
table.
dream. Stop. I'll be literally 2 or 3 Chipotles through every game.
Anywhere that they have like a 3 foot by 3 foot table that that is not a game store. And you will have tons of people who like walking up to you being like, oh my God, this is so cool. What is this? At every time that I've gone out and done this, like people just want to sit and talk about Star Wars. They're super interested because like a lot of people don't even know that there's board games outside of like Monopoly. And so they're like, they shock. They think it's so cool that the ships are awesome. And you can kind of make some friends and some new players like that way as well.
Well, I'm completely for that. So I'm completely for that. But if I feel it's also important to let them know what the status of the game is when they actively choose to spend money.
About this,
yeah, because I feel that's pretty important as a
new player.
Not
even a new player. Someone interested in X-Wing asked us about the game, and as soon as I said, "Hey, you could join our Discord. You can talk to us. We could set you up for a demo game." Man, he's like, "You don't have to buy anything. We can bring everything." He's like, "Oh, that'd be great." And then, like clockwork, like,
he leaves. Yes,
he walked away, and Manny's like, "I'm gonna have to tell him. I'm gonna have to tell him that the game is tied."
If he chooses to buy product, I feel an obligation to tell him. Because if I don't, I feel that's anti-consumer. I don't know. I feel that's like trying to rope in.
For him to put money in and then
no. What he what he chooses, before he chooses to spend any money, it's what it's what I tell him.
Let's role play. I'm gonna be him. I'm gonna. I love this game. I can't wait to play this. Oh, what do you think? Should I play this game, Manny? What
as long as you're okay with no future product being available, yeah, sure.
Oh,
I mean, no, it's like actually important. It's like if I don't tell you, I feel that's very anti-consumer. I'm sorry, also, I don't want to like rope in.
Sound like this. That voice is very much fantasized.
Yeah. No, my voice can't go that high.
I don't think that's anti-consumer. I think that's boomerism.
It's very doomer.
No, because I feel
freaking boomer.
I feel like you're trying to like rope in a person into a game that they might realize, it's not being supported. What you gonna be into? But like that's the vibe I get.
If they play and they're having fun with it,
that's true.
Then you can tell them that. I got this guy Andrew. He's always gonna be down to play.
True. But when they choose to spend their money, right, is when I believe they are entitled to know the full picture.
But I mean, I also believe that they're.
I don't want to discourage them, but
the full picture too.
Yeah, well, I mean, like. At least that no product's being worked on right now, from which we know. That at least is something that they should know.
But also, if you're a new player, everything's a new product to you.
Well, yeah, true. But like, at least it's something that they should know.
It's the equivalent of starting your new job, being excited about your new job, and a veteran that's been at the job for a while is like, "Yeah, but this is gotta get out of here. This place sucks." So
I know.
Like, I feel like I'm not planning on leaving.
I feel it's the equivalent of like you telling me to buy like a game from Steam that's a multiplayer game, only for me to buy it, and then realize there's like 10 people playing online.
Yeah,
I feel it's like similar along
right now.
It's true.
You can still buy whatever you want, play whatever you want, and get games in with us or online.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you should scare
I don't know.
From
like,
I understand with you wanting to be honest.
Your face is already scary enough, dude.
No, here. It's a fact of just telling them that no product's being worked on right now. Like
that we know of.
Does that count as scaring them away?
What I would say is.
Because if that is, then I completely disagree.
People are frustrated because they don't know if or when there's going to be more product, but there's a lot that exists already.
Yes.
And
Okay.
I mean,
Yes.
yeah, and also you got to figure out, are they casual? Like, what degree do they want to be
Sure,
in play competitive?
It's not like I'm
want more
actively
players.
telling them like, hey, don't play. No, I'm just letting them know, hey, as of right now,
Yeah.
no future product
But
is
you
planned.
also-
Yeah, well, here's the deal.
You
Once
also, if
you
you do
show up
that-
for a game night and play 2 games for 3 straight weeks, instead of skipping out and climbing or taking care of your health or whatever, your family, then you can do that. But until
Climbing,
then,
swimming.
doghouse, my
but
friend.
also, but like,
Well,
if
here,
you're, if
let's
you're
summer
gonna
it's gonna
say
be
that, you should also tell them that we have like an awesome local community.
Oh
that
yeah,
is
true. Yeah,
very
no, I'll let them know
Right,
that
conveniently
you'll always
forget
have you'll always have a community, blah blah blah. But also
You'll be like,
things
yeah,
will be
community's
worked
fine, I
on.
guess. But what you should know is that
This
everything
Nick guy
sucks.
who runs 312, complete asshole. Just
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
don't reach out to him.
But no,
Yeah.
What you eat, I guess.
Yeah, but
as much as like as we are also all like competitive players here, there is also like the
I'm
the
definitely not
Detroit
competitive.
cluster. There's
I'm
a
insulted
big-
that you call me a
Yeah,
competitive
that's for sure.
player.
This
Well,
guy,
no,
no.
he can win a game. if
I
his
am
life
like
depends
personally
on it.
insulted.
He's beating me. What are we talking about?
Doesn't mean I'm competitive.
No, but
If
what,
anything,
what
I'm
I'm saying
lucky.
is a lot of people who listen to this podcast and a lot of the like the stuff that we care about is the competitive meta is what we're talking about. But there's also the casual side of it too that is really enriching and is very cool.
Yeah.
And like Battle of Yavin and Door and Child of Mandalore, like those kits did in this last year give a ton of support for the casual
Droid
side.
soccer.
Droid soccer, right? So they were trying new stuff before. That's still going to be there, even after the competitive aspect's gone.
Yeah.
So just because they're buying into a kit now doesn't mean it's wasted money. But as far as getting
He's convinced.
No,
As far
no,
as
no,
getting-
I
ladies
mean-
and gentlemen, we got him. We got him.
don't scare off your new players, but then to finding new players, go outside of your like game store, your play group, and if you play any other games, like introducing your friends who might be interested in a war game, like if they're into like skirmish type games. X-Wing is of all the skirmish war games one of the most approachable and cheapest compared to like getting Kill Team going to even Shatterpoint. So I think it's a great building block to get people interested in that arena.
He's convinced. He doesn't. Yeah, he's not. Yeah, let's just say if I catch you, just dooming and glooming a player, it's just gonna be you might
I'll always
go missing
tell
for a
them
little
that we
while.
have a. I'll always tell a new player that we have a anime community who is extremely nice, except for this one asshole Nick.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm. Yeah.
That if you
He's just
get invested
so
in this
handsome and
game,
it's ridiculous.
you'll
Like, I can't
always
be
have
that
community
handsome,
to play with. But just know that there's no future product to be announced. That's it. That's it.
And by the way, Gibbs, wait, what did you say? Say it again. Say it slower.
I don't know. It's like, yes, I want to support this game, but not at the cost of what's the word? Not false advertising, but like misrepresent the current realities of the game.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, guys, before we wrap up, any last words in here in our awesome studio that we were using today? Totally ours, for sure.
Just saying I'm happy to be back and getting the band together, making content again. And this has been so much fun.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to the year.
Yeah.
Long live Triple Arcs.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll be
Oh,
Manny's
man.
new list is going to be 5
Oh
arcs.
God, no.
Oh, man. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for watching and listening to this episode of the 312 Squadron podcast. There are a lot of ways you can catch up with us and watch our content. You can follow us on Twitch. You can watch our live broadcasts there. You can catch edited replays and extra content on YouTube, like our Facebook page for updates. You can also check out our Patreon. If you'd like to be our biggest supporter, you can head on over there and join our Discord to join the conversation directly. We appreciate you all being here, supporting us far away across the pond and locally and in all the states and all the areas and all the places. We know you have a lot of choices when you fly, and we thank you for flying with 312 Squadron. Yeah, what a great episode. Thank you all so much again. My name is Nick.
I am Emmanuel.
And I'm Andrew.
And we will catch you all very soon. Game is done!
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's not. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Record scratch. I hit that by accident. Good job, guys.
Yeah. That was fun.
So not used to it. It's not my own voice.